All right, good evening and welcome to the regular council meeting for March 1st. First item would be adoption of the agenda. Second. On adoption, all those in favor? Motion is carried. No delegations this evening, and we will then proceed to approval of the regular council meeting minutes of February 15th.
Move. Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Maybe the whole meeting minutes of February 22nd.
Move receipt. Second.
On receipt then, all those in favor? Motion is
Just
carried.
have to say the acting mayor did a fabulous job.
Still looking for the tape of that meeting. Yeah. Couldn't find it.
Destroy it.
Yeah. There'll be no evidence of that.
Utility building for 550 Colby Road. The recommendation committee was that no waiver be provided.
Move the recommendation.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Regarding the annual performance plan consultation with RCMP, the motion is that the town of Comox be provided with a draft of that plan prior to its finalization.
Move.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Regarding the Regional District Water Ministers meeting, the recommendation is that the town write to the Regional District Board and the Water Committee requesting a delegation sent to meet with Mr. Felton, Minister of Forest Lands and Natural Resource Operations to discuss Perseverance Creek and the 1NTU issue. We noted those representatives only as identified in the motion to that effect at the Regional District Board meeting of January 24th.
I'll move that.
Second.
Seconded. Has anyone heard anything further on that date for that meeting yet?
No. We haven't heard.
Just heard.
There's some discussion that with the upcoming election that it might be hard to get before that time period, so we continue to try, but no date is set so far.
Okay, further discussion, all those in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. And the final recommendation is that the town of Comox provide $1,500 to assist with the cost for the depot assets and closing.
I'll move that. Second.
Any further discussion? Yes.
I still am not going to support this because I do think it goes against the intention of our policy and not the exact wording. I do think it's worth attending, and I intend to do that and support it, but I am going to vote against this recommendation.
Okay. Where would the funding come from for this? We just discussed that, but general sponsorship.
At this stage, if council were to approve it, we would just add it to the financial plan.
Okay. And that would be time for 2 weeks from now to deal with? Okay. It just gets added?
Yes.
Okay. That's okay.
I'll just comment in your absence, Your Worship, that what swayed me is that one of the main presenters is the CAO from Gibson's, and so it had some relevance to communities and municipalities, and it may be helpful to us to participate and show some leadership in participating along with the other communities that are.
Oh, yeah, I don't think there's any question about participating, but financially providing funding for it is something that's another matter altogether. Fair enough. Okay, so any further discussion on it? Seeing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? Marking down as opposed as well. Otherwise, it does pass. Great. Moving on to unfinished business management report for receipts.
Move receipt.
Second.
And I see that you suggested that the swing search and rescue item be removed from the management report, which is fine. The only question I had on that, we actually, although we passed a motion to support that, we haven't actually passed any kind of formal bylaws or whatever we might have to do when and if that building gets built, correct?
Correct.
So I guess that'd be the only thing that we'd have to make sure we follow up on. Go ahead.
Yeah, just in light of the newspaper report about there being an appeal on that, do we want to leave it?
Well, there's always that too.
Yeah.
I have no problem with leaving it on. I mean, I think regardless of which proponent ultimately succeeds, they both said they were going to put this.
Yeah, okay.
But I wasn't sure exactly why. I mean, I guess we're talking about it as a sort of checked off item. So if we take it off, it doesn't get forgotten or something.
It won't get forgotten, but again, this is council's report, and if it's the desire of council to leave it on, there's no problem doing that.
So what's your pleasure, council?
I say we leave it on for the time being. It looks good. It's something that the valley is looking forward to, and it just reminds them that we're doing our part to.
Yeah, and there is further action required when and if the construction is underway.
So do you want us to amend the motion then?
Well,
I made the motion,
Okay.
remove it, so
well, we can just. as
I'll do a friendly to unremove it.
Just-
To unremove the removal.
All right, sounds good. All those in favor? Opposed, motion's carried. We'll leave it as is. And on the Mac Lang Trust, there have been some recent media inquiries on that, but I assume that we're still waiting for word from our lawyers as to when it goes to court, et cetera.
Yes, from a staff perspective, we've still been providing the information requested by the lawyer, just finalizing up some affidavits.
Okay.
So it's in process, but it hasn't been formally filed as of yet.
And time frame for that?
I think we are just waiting for the last few bits, so it should be within the next few weeks. I think that we're ready to go.
So you'll maybe add something more to the status?
Yes.
Okay. All right, anything further on that or other items there? Seeing none, we'll move on. Received and amended. Okay, so then we have the minutes of the Regional District Board, Solid Waste Board, and Hospital Board.
Move receipt.
Second.
On receipt of all those, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion's carried. And then for bylaws.
And I will declare
Oh, yes.
conflict of interest.
We'll keep that be adopted.
Motion to adopt the marina fees bylaw has been moved.
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried. And Councilor Arnott. Doesn't have time to go check that out.
Apparently got rid of them.
Okay, so we're on to new business. And this is the appeal of a decision to deny delegation request for the North Highlands Students Union. So this is for our consideration. Background is in the report. And if we do nothing further, we'll leave it at that. But if you do wish to allow it, then the motion is as printed in the report on page 29.
Well, I'll just move receipt of this letter.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Receipt of the letter, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Any further motions?
I would like to make a comment that these types of things, I know we have a certain spirit of influence and this may not be one. However, I do believe it's important as a community that we hear them and just, you know, in some of the circles that we participate in, that sure we may not send a letter of support, but we talk to different people and maybe for me it would be beneficial to hear these folks see what they have to say.
Okay. Councilor Kennedy.
I concur is that I was weighing this a bit like Teddy the Milkman and Fiddler on the Roof. On the one hand, we could spend an inordinate amount of time in each council meeting dealing with issues that we don't have jurisdiction over.
Yes.
And I don't think we want to do that. There's enough on our plates anyway. On the other hand, an issue like this that, boy, that's an important one, and it is it's an investment too in allowing people to upgrade in our communities. I noticed that there's several other communities, Vancouver Island communities, not one or two, but many that have signed on with a letter here. I almost look at this as extenuating circumstances in this issue. Furthermore, we don't get a lot of opportunities to send messages to senior levels of government. It's an election cycle coming up. If I wouldn't mind putting it to a vote, and if there was a support of council, great. If there wasn't, so be it.
Well, you know, in terms of sending messages to provincial government, we do that on a regular basis for things that are within our control. And when you go to UBCM, of course, there's several hundred resolutions, probably some including this. And many concerns there, even at UBCM during the resolution session, is that there's quite a bit of stuff there that isn't within our jurisdiction. And I think if we were focused on things that are within our mandate and dealing with those things at the UBCM or ABICC, or perhaps even in the direct meeting, like, for example, water treatment, that's where we're going to have the most effect. If we start tackling all sorts of issues outside of our jurisdiction, albeit with perhaps our sphere of influence, then we tend to water down our effect. At least that's certainly what some of the concerns that were expressed by mayors recently at the Mayor's Caucus I was at. So I think that's to be considered, not specific to this, but just general.
Well, Your Worship, the way I resolved it in my thinking, if I may, was that I'm going to write a personal letter of support in regards to this to that committee. If they want to use that, so be it. I'm not representing, can't speak for the town, but certainly in this issue, I'm in favor of their proposal.
As individuals, we always have that opportunity for sure, although keep in mind that they won't consider you to be the individual, they will consider you to be the councillors. With that in mind, Councillor Swift.
Yeah, I always feel that knowledge is power, and hearing from delegations is always interesting and broadens your understanding of issues. However, it isn't within our jurisdiction of influence, and my concern is when they do come, we're put in the awkward position of then having to support them. And the problem with that is we don't have the understanding of the big picture. It's not where we work. So if we're asking the government to consider this, then we have to do it with full knowledge that something else will come off the table at that level. So I don't think I can do a letter of support, but I wouldn't mind hearing what they had to say.
Councillor.
Yeah, I guess I have to concur with the mayor on this. I mean, these things goes both ways, and we get invitations like this all the time. Some I agree with, some I don't. But I really stick firmly to the fact that if it's not within our jurisdiction, I don't think that we should be hearing it one way or the other. These are always the issues that become divisive, and they divide councils, and it's what makes it's what really gets us off track, I guess, for lack of a better expression. And if you look at councils that don't function well, they deal with all sorts of issues that are outside their purview, and they're always the ones that are split and divided and having problems. So I commend you for not putting a lot of things on the agenda. I know I've been pretty stalwart about that over the years and sticking to what we do and doing it well. I think that if you do agree with this, that you can certainly, you have every right to do or say what you please. But I just am a real stickler for staying within our purview and doing what we do and doing it well. And I think the mayor's done a good job this year of keeping it that way. So,
well, and it's a staff mayor thing when we put the council agenda together. But I think the concern I have is when we get requests like this, what would we do with them? Well, we would not make a decision that night. We would ask for a staff report on it, perhaps. Or perhaps ask for the other side of this issue, or whatever issue it is, to be presented, and back and forth we go. When we were dealing, for example, or hearing the previous council about GMO foods, there's nobody on our staff that has expertise on that, and I'm sure they could get information. We could certainly try to get information about what this issue is on adult basic education, which we all agree is an important issue. But it'd be like, another one could be the teachers union coming here, or a parents group coming here saying we need more funding for schools. Okay, well, do we want to get into that debate, or is that something more properly addressed at the legislature? Recently, a budget presented at the legislature that I attended last week, and maybe there was more money for this or not. The other opportunity you have is writing directly to the minister in charge. And actually, I did have a chat with Minister Wilkinson last week in the Mayor's Caucus, and he's going to be in town on Friday. So if you want to go see him on Friday, he's opening the local campaign office. So you could always have a chat with him there. So, I mean, there's all sorts of opportunities.
Yeah. And so if I may, as I mentioned before, that if we hear them and not send a letter of support, but then it allows us, when you attend the mayor's meetings, the UBC and the ABICC, at least we have a little bit
come towards an election. And you can decide how many of these things you want to hear. And I think, I'm with staff taking the position that, we try to have a broad mandate, but this clearly is not within our mandate. If you want to hear it as a sounding board and give more information, that'll be up to council.
And I can't add too much to what has already been spoken, except to just say it does build an expectation that it is out of our sphere, and I
Well, at this point, there has been a motion made to hear them, so it's on, and I'll leave it at that. But certainly open if somebody wants to make a motion.
Not making a motion, but what I am hearing from everyone is there is some curiosity, so maybe the best thing to do is to contact these people individually and have a conversation, rather than have them come and raise an expectation.
That's always open. All right, so unless there's specific, yes?
Just to clarify one thing, Councillor Ken Grant, you were saying that the mayor's done a good job. Were you referring to acting mayor?
Oh, of course.
Thank you for that clarification.
All right. So let's move on unless there's something further. That brings us to correspondences. So we have an annual correspondence from Steve Cowan, the Royal Canadian Naval Association for the annual Battle of Atlantic Seminar.
Move proceed that we grant him the permission he's asked.
Second.
Okay, that's on Sunday, May 7th. So all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And that'll be at 1 o'clock on Sunday, May 7th. Always a nice event, and well worth attending. It's not very lengthy. It's really nice to be one of that. So that's particularly that one year they managed somehow to have it the same day as Snow to Surf, and that didn't work out.
Oh, there was a big crowd.
That was just too confusing.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll let them know, and I'll do my best to attend, and others can attend as well. So we have then a letter on shake sides from Marilyn H.
Move proceed.
On the seat then, all's in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Any discussion on the letter?
Discrimination is a hard, strong word to be using, and
Well, as
we are not discriminating.
As I explained,
This is not local.
one of the members of the press earlier today about this issue, I said there's a democratic process here. We had a committee working on this issue. What we're dealing with in the here and now is what to do with those funds that have been sitting in a trust account for 35 years. And I think there's been a good process for that discussion, and we're now turning it over to the courts appropriately for their consideration. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the money either goes to an alternative use of fund for a project down in the park with shake sides in mind, or it goes to the Attorney General, wherever it may go from there. The whole issue around demolishing the shake sides is really a separate issue altogether, because we own the land and we own the building. So we've been respectful throughout the process to let the process unfold, and we'll see what the court process ends up being. All right. Okay, so we got a nice letter here from Larry Park regarding snow removal.
Move proceed to that.
Second.
All right, and we should stop maybe talking about snow, so maybe...
Yeah, maybe
No.
we'll stop going away.
All right, all those in favor? Motion's carried, and I do understand, I thank you, council, for that letter to the editor, but I do understand that whatever other letters we receive are forwarded to public works staff, because I know we get lots of emails and letters.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that takes care of the correspondence, no other late items or delegations, so reports from members of council. Start with Councillor Swift.
Since we last met, I attended the Sewage Commission meeting, and most of the discussion centered around the new line running from Quadra Base, joining into our line at Dock Little and Crodo. and construction should begin soon, and it's hoped that it'll be completed before the busy summer season begins along the strip. And I also attended the Philburg board meeting, and they're busy preparing for the AGM, which is March the 25th at 2 at the Lodge.
Councilor?
Yeah, I attended a BIA meeting last night, and some interesting things that they're working on. They did want to extend a thank you to staff and Public Works for the great job of the snow removal. They were appreciative of that. That's all I have.
Councilor?
Yeah, I attended yesterday's regional district meeting, and in there we sent a letter of support to Eduardo Uranga. He's applying to the Natural Resources Canada Energy Innovation Program to promote solar hot water in the Comox Valley. And I mentioned that maybe he could start with Marina Park when the time came, if he was successful with that. So they're doing that. We also talked about the concept of a multi-use trail down Dyke Road. And they will be getting a delegation organized to come to Comox, Comox First Nations and Courtney to give us a little rundown on what's going on. Unlike the town of Comox, we passed a motion for ABICC to look at rural road maintenance for the regional district roads. The snow removal was not great on the last snowstorm, but overall the condition of a lot of the roads out there, according to the rural directors, is not good, so they put a motion together for that. A copy of the exhibition grounds master plan will be sent to us, and then we will be putting an open house together to follow for the public. And CBRD land purchase with the tri-party agreement between Courtney, the regional district, and school district 71 was completed the other day, and they will be beginning the process to build a new regional district office.
So a quick question on that. I saw that report somewhere, there's some building links, we talked about buying one piece now and maybe another piece later.
You're taking me back a little bit in the way this goes. The school board,
Well, the school board office is not buying that.
yeah,
They're buying the adjacent.
but the adjacent piece of property, I don't want to actually say anything because it was a few months ago, so I don't want to get it wrong here.
Well, the story in the building links was along this. We bought the vacant piece and we're going to put the regional district office there. There was talk of buying the other piece of the school board is for future municipal purposes, but I thought that's where there's some pewing.
I think that there's some talk between the two.
Yep.
So,
Councilor Margaret.
Thank you. Attended Comox Seniors meeting. They too are preparing for their AGM and their St. Patrick's Day dance. They're doing very well with their memberships and have money in the bank. So when they're having fun doing it, of course, I mustn't forget that. Attended CSWM and the hospital board, and also had the pleasure of, as acting mayor, to attend the Wounded Warrior presentations there. It was excellent. I enjoyed it.
Councilor Kinnan.
Yes, I had attended a couple of Homeless Coalition meetings. I have a copy of their updated terms of reference, should any councillor want to see it. Also, as a heads up to staff, I know that they have suggested they may like to have municipal staff come and talk about the affordability housing initiatives in the three municipalities at some point in the future, with the intent of working with and being better informed about how it works. So they might work in concert with staffs. Attended the coldest night of the year, the Tigger 2 opening here, and new wing opening here in Comox. Councillors were invited, and also, last but not least, the Comox Valley is hosting, for the first time in 50 years, the BC Grade 9 Boys Basketball Championships. If you think, what does that have to do with Comox? It's bringing in 16 teams and parents to the valley, which is in itself a bit of an economic boost. And I know it was 50 years ago because I came over in 1966 from Vancouver to play the cup in Cumberland, and almost stayed here then, but didn't come into 89. But games are being played at Highland and Comox, as well as in Courtney at the two high schools there. So just a heads up there, and those tournaments do bring a boost to our community economically too, and we shouldn't lose sight of that.
All right, well, thank you to the acting mayor and Councilor Margaret for chairing the last 2 meetings while I was away. Appreciate that.
I don't want to know.
Well, the first two. But last week I was at the Mayor's Caucus spring meeting, which was held in Oakay, and included a tour of CFP Esquimalt and the ships down there, so it was a good experience to see what they're doing with the Navy, some of the challenges they had. They had a good presentation at lunch from the Admiral, as well as Dr. Jim Boutelier on sort of global state of affairs, so it was very interesting. Didn't know, but China has over 300 surface combatant vessels. So the whole thing about freedom of the seas and what's going on in the South China Sea is quite interesting. Also on Saturday, I attended the Cabana Souk at the Cour de Lille, well attended by the French Francophone school students, parents, and the immersion students. And thankfully, I didn't have to speak in French. Also attended the provincial budget presentation last week, and most of that has been reported on. I guess the good news for our communities, other than just generally, is that there's more funding going into the rural dividend program, another $25 million. There's also a new program called the Rural Connectivity Program, another pot of money. So CAO and I have discussed some of that, and we'll hopefully be able to put an application together to look at some of those things around tech that we discussed here locally. The intake on that, I understand, will be in late April before the writ is dropped, and then the awards on that program will happen after the elections. It's a good program, and we're eligible, to my understanding, as a community, under $25,000. So hopefully we'll be able to get some more information on it as we go. I know a guy in Victoria. So. Actually, my son works in that ministry, so it's all good. He'll give us whatever information we need. There was a dinner at the for the Multicultural Festival that happened on the weekend, 11th to 12th, so I attended that with the Taiwanese Economic and Cultural Officer, Tom Lee, and various guests, including our MLA. And that was well attended, and as a prelude to the Matron Festival, or the festival they had the next day. Attended the North Island Hospitals Liaison Committee meeting, and that was just to get an update on some of the issues that have been going on around parking and arcades. And that's probably the last of those meetings we'll have until they actually move into the hospital. And there's some indication there'll be some tours available prior to the hospital opening officially. Of course, the keys will be turned over at the end of April, and then there'll be a 3 or 4 month fitting out and training period. So keep your eyes open for that. I think during AVICC they're having a tour of the Canberra River Hospital, so anyone's going there, you can sign up for that.
I'm getting used to the green color, just so you know. I was twitching a few times when I drove by it at the beginning.
What's inside that counts. You'll be impressed by what's inside.
Oh, I'm sure.
Although it is green.
Yeah. What did you say, 50 Shades of Green?
Yeah. 50 Shades of Green.
Only other things I'll reference is I attended a presentation that the Economic Development Board made to the Regional Board on the budget, so that was good. I was good to see that the outcome of that was positive, just dealing with the shortfall coming from Carland. And then earlier this week, our MP Rachel Blaney was in to visit, talking about, among other things, letters that she's received about the Backland Trust, so everybody's getting involved. And the Cycling Coalition had its AGM last night, and I attended that, and MP Gord Johns was there to speak about his national cycling strategy bill that he's proposed. So that was well received, and I did post some links to that on Facebook. So follows me and wants to know more about it, there it is. And I believe that's my report. So I'm thinking that's the end of the agenda, other than there may be questions from members of the public or media. We've already got me earlier. All right. So no in-camera meetings tonight, so motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?